All right, there we go. Well, here we are in sunny Florida. So you can see I live out basically in the middle of nowhere. Fields all around as far as the eye can see, but you know, there's some pros and cons to that. It's not really too bad. The only thing that's bad is that well, I guess number one, live away from everything. And then number two, whenever they start doing anything with the fields, well, whenever they start doing anything with the fields, basically everything gets covered with dust. And that kind of sucks. So, pretty much that's the main reason why I don't even bother with cleaning my vehicles anymore. It, it's just such a hassle to have to do it over and over and over and over again. Pretty much, I'll go ahead, get my truck washed, and then as soon as I get back home, basically needs another wash. And that's one thing that's never that fun to do. But you know, we're just gonna be taking a little ride around. You know, nothing too much. Unfortunately, I don't really have any friends to go ride with. Nobody that I know around here really rides motorcycles, although one or maybe even two of my friends would like to get into it this year. One of them's been talking about it for quite some time. He's just never really pulled the trigger on it. And I just keep telling him, hey man, go ahead, go do the course. I literally got my certification over a single weekend. It's not that bad. You know, if I can pass it, you could definitely pass it. All that kind of stuff. But he still yet to do it. Though understandable, he's trying to get stuff figured out with his house and whatnot. And he at least he at least has that going for him. Although hopefully this year he'll end up getting a motorcycle as long as, you know, one of our other friends, we can go ahead, go riding together, and hopefully by that time I should have a different bike. I'm not exactly sure what I want to get yet. I wouldn't even mind getting like a little Ninja, like older Ninja 300, maybe even go up to the Ninja 400 that they started coming out with now. I've been trying to keep my eyes open. The main deal for me about motorcycles is finding something that I can actually, you know, flat foot. Because my first bike was a 2002 Honda CB919, and yeah, that was a challenge for me. That was before I had even gotten my entire certification for riding. That's essentially the first motorized thing I had ever been on with two wheels, and it's crazy that someone wanted to, you know, sell an inexperienced rider that, you know, never ridden anything in that fashion before. But, you know, that's just unfortunately the world that we live in these days. You know, people just wanting to make a quick buck. You know, if there's a desperate teenager that wants to get this, that, or the other, they'll be like, oh, hey, here you go. And, you know, kind of not even think of the repercussions of things that could happen. I could have easily killed my thing on that, although I am kind of glad that I started out on something like that. because then I learned throttle control really quick on that. I can definitely say that for sure. Wasn't that fun of an experience, you know, now that I'm a little bit more experienced. I don't have too much time under my belt, you know, being out on the road and whatnot, but I at least have a little bit more experience. And I'll go out for drives every now and then. Still trying to get comfortable around traffic and all. I know really one thing is, you know, go head first into it and then kind of see what happens. That's essentially what happened the first time. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead, just go drive on the highway for a second, because I live right off of the highway, so I mean, I essentially have no choice if I want to get off my road. But usually just go to the next town over, go riding around, go look at all the fields, see if, you know, friends are doing anything. Most of the time they're kind of busy with their own stuff, so I mean, it's just kind of riding around for fun, just taking the scenery in. And I'm glad to finally be back out on the bike, because over the past few weeks, it's been, you know, really cold, and you know, I think it got down into the teens, maybe. Yeah, that's crazy to think for down here in the Florida, it was able to get into the teens. And on top of that, in this town, we actually got around 11 to 12 inches of snow. 11 to 12 inches. That's kind of crazy to think of snow in Florida. But hey, and literally within the next, I would say about 4 or 5 days, it was already back up into like the high 60s, low 70s, and you know, I was ready to get back out on the bike, but you know, roads are still looking a little rough because of the damage of the snow, because we don't really have the equipment to deal with snow on the roads around here, so we were pretty much out of work for the following couple of days, as well as the day that it did snow. So that did kind of put a halt on things around here. But I mean, one thing that one of my friends told me, have a couple of friends that are twins that used to live up in Minnesota, and whenever it was snowing, we were going out enjoying it. We actually ended up walking about 5-ish miles up to their house, just so that they could grab some blankets and then go back to my friend's house that we were all just kind of huddled up there. And we were walking around in that, and they were saying that this is technically a blizzard. Not necessarily because of the amount of snow, but just because of how the snow was. I'm guessing because of the sheer winds, as well as the visibility. I'm not exactly sure what makes it classified as, you know, a blizzard or whatnot. But yeah, we were walking around that for about an hour or so, about an hour 5 minutes, just to walk about 5 miles to their house. And I thought that was pretty insane. Got some amazing and really beautiful pictures while we were doing that as well, and I know that's something that I won't ever forget. I was thinking about not going over to my friends the day that it was going to snow, because got up, you know, me and him talked about it the day before, and I was like, should I go ahead and go into work? Because I was already on my way to my friend's house. It was about 8 a.m. or so, and you know, I was thinking to myself, well, it doesn't look that bad. And you know, all the predictions were saying maybe like a few inches or so, maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 And yeah, then we absolutely got blindsided by that. Just shift there. So yeah, I'll end up taking this road. I was just gonna go the main road, but whatever. I don't feel like getting final destination behind that log truck. Actually, my friends are literally probably like less than a mile away from here. I could literally stop and say hi, but I ain't gonna do that. One of them's probably at work right now. The other one, I'm guaranteeing, is probably on his computer playing. Right now, probably Diablo 3, since the new season just released. And him and a couple of my other online friends have been playing that pretty extensively ever since the new release of the season. Yeah, this is a nice little ride, whatnot. It's also trying to be like an extensive test of how this new camera is supposed to act and how well it'll pick up my audio and whatnot from my Sena, because that's the main reason why I ended up getting this camera, is because it had that capability to actually connect up to the Sena. However, the one thing that I did find out as I was actually a few minutes before I left my house is that I can't have my phone connected to my Sena while this camera is connected up to it, so that kind of sucks. I thought that I was going to be able to do like a little mesh Bluetooth thing, because I know that there's a few things out there, but I guess considering that I guess it may be classified as like an audio device or something like that. Actually, we'll end up going this way. Oh dear God, that was rough. But, yeah, as you can tell, this is a town of farmers. Literally fields upon fields upon fields. Oh, that looked a little sketchy right there. A lot of gravel and dirt out on the road. But I also kind of want to just take it easy when riding, although most of the time I kind of go anywhere from... I usually top this thing out whenever I'm riding, but I'm not really trying to do that right now. I'm just, you know, trying to get used to the talking and riding and all of that, because this is the first time that I've really ever done anything like this, and you know, I don't think it's too bad. It lets me speak my mind, do whatever, and I also get to enjoy some really nice scenery and whatnot. So I see it as a win-win for me. These houses all look really nice. I wish I could get one of these, or, you know, at least live around here or whatnot. You know, actually a little bit closer into town, which would be really nice. Oh, I don't even know how long that I've had my blinker on, but oh well. I'm not paying attention to it. But yeah, I would like to live around here because it's definitely a bit closer to things. Great if I was to live in one of the other towns nearby, I would be close to pretty much everything. Really all this town has going for it is like a Subway, Dollar General, Family Dollar, and a couple gas stations. That's about the extent of it. also do hope that not too much wind is coming through. I know that there might be a little bit. I know one thing that I'm also going to be looking into is possibly getting like a chin mount for the camera, because right now all I have is like a little chest thing, and I don't know. I mean, it doesn't really feel bad. I say that it's probably mainly the angle, because yesterday, at least whenever I was doing like a little test and pilot run, I was using my old GoPro 7, and unfortunately with that thing, all it has is like a wide angle lens, and you can't do what this does, which it straightens up that image, which I really do like that feature. But you know, I thought that was pretty fun doing it, but the angle from the GoPro Hero 7, I could not really see the road ahead. It was mainly just the speedometer that you could see, and that was pretty much it. You know, of course, like from here and then down you could see, but that was it. Got a little bit of jerk on that one. Oh, get my sleeves. Oh, there we go. Now y'all are really gonna start stopping right at the last second. There we go. Let's catch up, baby! Alright, I said I wasn't gonna do that, but you can't help a nice little pull. When you ride a bike, you will understand. Don't matter if it's gonna be like a little 125cc, 250, 300, whatever. You're always gonna want to do at least some sort of pull to catch back up to the people that are ahead of you. Oh, I didn't realize that there was a fire department right there. But I know one thing, you know, being in traffic like this isn't really too bad. I mean, there's hardly anyone that's on the road that's over here. But whenever you get to the other towns that are fairly close by as well, that's whenever it's like a pretty highly dense population. You know, you got 2-lane roads, and you have like cars bumper to bumper, especially at around this time. That's just kind of how it is, and it's been kind of a daunting task to want to be able to do that. But as far as I can tell, you know, whenever I get some friends and whatnot that are over that way, it won't be too bad. The one thing that I also do kind of hate about this, so I have 2 bikes at the house. This one, and oh god, it is super bumpy on this road right now. But I have 2 bikes at the house. I have this one, as well as little Chinese knockoff of the Harley Davidson Sportster 883. You know, it was nice as like a first little bike to, you know, get a little bit more comfortable on two wheels and whatnot. But it does have its issues. It doesn't even go anything above 55, which is one thing that I was like, yeah, no, that's not something that I'm comfortable taking out on the roads where I live. If I lived in a little bit more of a dense city where like anyone hardly ever gets over like 40, that wouldn't be too bad. But around here, pretty much everyone on the roads drives like 70, and that's essentially a death wish. But the one thing that I really do like about it is the fact that on the speedometer, actually the whole cluster looks really nice, and I wish that there was a way that I could honestly swap this one out for it. But at least on that cluster, it also has it has what gear you're in. And one thing that I also have to get used to is that it was a 5-speed and this is a 6-speed, so sometimes I always forget, oh hey, yeah, there's a whole extra gear. But essentially now, one of my problems with this one is that, you know, whenever I'm already in 6th gear, I still think that I have another gear. So I'll always let off and try to go up another gear, and then, you know, it just won't do anything. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm already in 6th gear. Granted, like 90% of the time now, I hardly ever look down at the speedometer. I'll do that occasionally to see how I'm doing on gas, what time it is. But I hardly ever do that for speed, unless I see like a weird bend in the road or something like that coming up. And then of course I'll be like, okay, yeah, I might need to check my speed on this one. So yeah, I'll probably go ahead and turn right here, just to kind of go a little bit on the back roads a little bit. I wouldn't even really call this back roads, I'd call this more of a side road. But yeah, as you could probably tell for like the 1000th time already, fields, fields, and more fields. I'll turn my torso and get a better view of it. Oh, that's the thing that's gonna suck. I have no idea what this view is gonna look like on here. I tried getting an idea of that by looking at my phone whenever I was getting everything set up. But yeah, no, I couldn't tell how much I may have adjusted it already on accident or whatnot. So it's just all kind of a guessing game, which is also another reason why it would be nice to go ahead and get a chin strap for it. And another plus to that would be that on the ventilation that's like right in front of my mouth on my helmet, you know, not a lot of wind would go there because it would essentially be covering that up. I should still be able to breathe fairly well. Maybe a little bit of wind come in. As long as I have a little bit, I'll be fine. But the ventilation on this one is basically just a little mesh screen, and it's basically all air from what I can tell. But if I got a little chin strap that I've been looking at, it would essentially help with that, because, you know, it'll be blocking the wind noise that might be coming. Which would also be really nice. Alright, come on, people. Let's see. What are y'all doing? That must have been one of my friend's sisters. Either that, or if that was one of my friends, I hardly recognize her because that was her. She got some different hair now. Oh man, I would like to venture out a little bit more with where I do take my motorcycle, because really the extent of it is right now is really just coming to this town and, you know, doing all of that, or just kind of driving around, going all through the back roads and whatnot. But I want to venture out just a little bit more. I think that would be really nice to get my confidence up to go further and further, and it probably would also help with building just confidence on the bike in general, really. I mean, getting thrown into unpredictable situations. Let's see, yeah, we are going to, oh, come on, people. I was going to go up in front of the school, but I really don't feel like slowing down to basically nothing. I hate doing that a lot. Oh, of course, I can't even itch my nose right now. Oh god, this sucks. Let's see. Well, looking at about half a tank right now. I would go grab some gas, but I think I should be fine. I was still at 3/4 whenever I left my house earlier. It's not gonna be too bad. It's not gonna drain me. I think it's only about like 15 miles to here, and I haven't really let this thing get too low because I don't want to test my luck. And knowing my luck, I would end up running it completely dry, being stranded on the side of the road, and just stranded. Although I do have my phone and all, but I just prefer not to have an incident like that to happen, because I don't like having to call other people, and especially if I have to get like a little gas tank or gas can to fill up and whatnot. I'll just go through here. God, I rarely ever come through here. I'm just cutting through to the main road. Oh dear God. Like one of the very few speed bumps that are actually in this town. Alright, come on, people. Honestly, one thing whenever I got into riding bikes that I thought that I would, kick myself in the nuts over was remembering to, turn off my blinkers. But surprisingly, I do that pretty well. I've never really had an issue of you know, accidentally leaving it on for a certain amount of time. I guess it's because I watch a lot of people on the roads, and I'll normally see bikes that accidentally leave their blinker on, and I'm just like, oh, I want to tell them that their blinker is on, but they're zooming past, and then it doesn't get shut off for like another 4 or 5 miles. Oh, Tesla, don't think that you got the right of way, Mr. Amazon worker. Let's pick it up a little bit. Not looking to get Final Destination either. Not again. Not again. Because I am absolutely terrified of vlog trucks coming from either direction, whether I'm following behind them or they're coming towards me. Thank you, Final Destination, for all of the years of absolutely everything that could go wrong with everything that is fun. God, see right there? It's because I'm getting into the higher RPMs, I think that I have another gear. It sounds like it should, because, like, in my opinion, I don't feel like this should be topping out. Like getting into high RPMs at roughly about 65 miles an hour. But again, this is only a Rebel 300, so I mean, what can you expect? It's not like I'm trying to go on the interstate or anything like that. I'm just trying to ride around, have fun, just go cruising and all. That's essentially all I want to do. I'm not trying to go around and race people. Yeah, I was going to take that road, but yeah, might as well go straight. God, I remember the first time whenever I got a bike, because my parents were completely against it. I was like, listen, one way or another, I will get this bike, whether you help me or I do it myself. And thankfully it actually fit on the back of my truck, because I have like a 2022 Ford Maverick with a 4.5 foot bed. But thankfully, with the tailgate down, there's barely enough room to get my CB900F on there. And then whenever I went to get this other one, you know, it was a little bit longer because it has that Sportster, like a Harley Davidson Sportster look to it. You know, it's going to be a little bit longer in the wheelbase because it's not a crotch rocket. And thankfully it fit, still barely, but it fit. And then came for this one. I wasn't really that worried about it because oh dear God, that wind gust. But yeah, I wasn't really worried about it because this one had a little bit shorter of a wheelbase compared to the Sportster knockoff. I was like, okay, well, I was able to go ahead and get that one on there, so this one shouldn't really be that big of a deal. And of course, it wasn't really that big of a deal. Although the things I will say for anyone that wants to get a bike, or, you know, I would say if you want to do a second-hand bike, you know, looking at Facebook Marketplace, you see a really nice deal on a motorcycle, definitely take someone that knows a thing or two about motorcycles. You know, someone that can actually ride them, feels comfortable with riding someone else's motorcycle. Because whenever I got that Sportster knockoff, I wasn't really comfortable riding it around. And it wasn't until about another day or two later where I figured out, you know, hey, this thing doesn't even give above like 50 to 55. And, you know, I was just kind of out of luck at that point, just kind of riding it up and down the street for the majority of the time, until I finally just stopped riding it in total. And then with the first bike that I got, the CP900, that one was a whole doozy itself. Because, you know, I was there, I just wanted it. I was, you know, like 21 or something like that. Really wanted it. I wanted to get my first bike so bad. So I wasn't really thinking straight, and then, you know, I didn't know that they didn't have the title to it at that time, which that was a whole story itself, you know, and kind of going back and forth, having to get the police to come look at it so that they can fill out the paperwork, make sure it's not stolen and whatnot. Go ahead, send that paper back to the person that I bought it from, and then, you know, they can send it so that they can get the title in their name and all of that, and then they send it over to me. Then I go ahead and have to do all that stuff again because it's changing states. Have to get everything verified. But for this one, it wasn't really too bad, although the thing that I do feel kind of duped about was, you know, I was like, hey, is it a clean title in your name? And they're like, yeah, it's a clean title in my name. I was like, okay, cool. And didn't verify that at all. But because I'd actually seen this motorcycle on Marketplace, and the only reason why I know that is because it has like Bondo or some type of body filler on the tank, where it looks like that there's a dent or something, and you know, I knew that it was that bike that I was looking at previously, but this time I just went ahead and said, screw it, let me go ahead and just pull the trigger. But then I looked back at the old listing, and then I look at the title after I got home and everything, and I was like, yeah, oh, that was my grandpa, actually. What is he doing all the way out here? God, he lives about 40 minutes away. Oh yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, but I took a look at the title. I took a look at the old listing where the previous owner had, you know, marked it as sold, and those names matched up, and I was like, wow, this guy really didn't even get it in his name. But I didn't have an issue, you know, getting it into my name or anything like that. I just felt a little duped that, you know, the guy that I was talking to, purchasing this from, was like, yeah, it's in my name, it's a clean title and all of that, you know, whenever it clearly wasn't. So yeah, if you're looking at getting a motorcycle or something like that, I'd definitely say, you know, have someone there that knows what to look for with the used. Or, I mean, if push comes to shove, it might not be as good of a deal, but you can always go to like a dealership and look at their used inventory, because sometimes they have some actually fairly decent deals on those. But I think next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna go ahead and get one new, go ahead and take out a loan, although I have to make sure that it's a bike that I'm comfortable with. And that's the thing for me. I don't really feel comfortable riding stuff. Oh, okay, that was the truck ahead of me. I was like, why is my motorcycle making that noise? That is not good. But yeah, that's probably the next thing that I'll end up doing, is going to, you know, showroom, take a look at their stuff. But I just don't feel comfortable riding stuff that isn't mine, that I own myself. That's mainly because I didn't really have much experience with the riding part. So, you know, the more that I do this, the more that, you know, it won't be too bad to, you know, get on someone else's bike and take it for a little ride to make sure that I'm comfortable on it. Oh, that's weird. I wasn't thinking that I was already in 6th gear. God, this truck is so slow and there's so much wind behind it. It'd be really windy out here. But yeah, that's essentially it. I mean, I just felt like I'd go ahead and do like a little rock around the clock just to, you know, have a little fun, see how this ends up going. If it goes well, that's pretty cool. If it doesn't, then this will get scrapped and then I'll try something else. No one behind you. See, not too bad, like around 30 minutes or so. Well, one thing that I hope is that this mic is actually connected. It at least said that it connected, so here's the fingers crossed.